So, you want a leaner face. I'll start simple and then we'll cover some advanced inflammation stuff later. To begin, water retention. It's the amount of water your body is holding. And when you're holding extra, it really shows in your face because it has a nasty habit of going into the extremities. Some things you might already know is that sodium and alcohol cause it. But what you don't know is carbs cause it too, especially when combined with sodium. Notice how a lot of low carb / carnivore guys, they eat a lot of salt, but they're not really that puffy. Yet when you go to your favorite Mexican restaurant, you're bloated the next day. It's because of the reaction carbs and sodium create. And in that puffy state, you're actually often dehydrated because even though you're holding onto the water, your body isn't able to adequately use it. Though this doesn't straight up necessarily mean you should obliterate salt from your diet. When it comes to food, probably just don't put too much or too little salt on it. And yes, this means no restaurants or junk food. Beauty comes with a price. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. But I have seen some people, even the carnivore ones, not eat a lot of salt and actually feel better. But if you try eating less salt and in the long term get cramps, headaches, and who knows what else, well then eat more salt because you might get a seizure otherwise. Listen to your body because what works for some people doesn't work for others. Another mineral I want to mention is potassium, since it makes you hold on to less water, and its effects in the body are opposite of sodium. You need 3 times more potassium than sodium, but this doesn't mean to eat 8 bananas a day. I think that's kind of stupid. Instead, just have a healthy diet. It's really that simple. But if you want, you can take a supplement. Just keep in mind, if you overconsume these supplements or potassium, you'll die too. Now, water. Unlike what everyone says, you don't need that much. I know lots of Americans are dehydrated, but drinking so much water to the point where your pee is constantly crystal clear is not healthy. Sure, you're flushing out toxins, but with overconsumption, you're also flushing out electrolytes, making your appearance even worse. If you want to be healthy and look good, drink an adequate amount of water. Because to be honest, I'm seriously tired of anyone going on Reddit, for example, and saying, oh, I have this and this issue. Well, have you tried drinking more water? That's not gonna help them or make them healthier. I know because I've tried it on myself. Pretty much everything in this video, actually, I've tried on myself. I've drinking more water, I've tried potassium, I've tried low salt diets, so I'm your guys' biggest guinea pig. Also, if you're confused by now, don't worry, we'll have a review section at the end. Moving on, there are also things like the guao sha and jade rollers. Their benefits are mostly short term because you're guiding the water away from your face and kind of drain your lymphatic system. And if you don't know, your lymphatic system is kind of like the sewer of your body. But they might offer some long-term benefits in the form of improved circulation and massaging your facial muscles. But to be honest, you can do the same thing with your hands if that's your goal. You can also sauna, which as you know has many long-term benefits, but in the short term it also makes your face look cleaner because you're sweating all the water out. Next is inflammation, and this possibly makes your face even puffier than water retention does. Omega-6 oils inflame you, especially soybean oil and stuff, and that's the oil 99% of fast food places and restaurants cook with. Not having quality sleep can inflame your face. Notice how I didn't mention the duration because that's actually not the most important factor. 7 hours of good sleep beats 10 hours of rustling and tussling. Of course, there are anti-inflammatory foods like blueberries, honey, but I wouldn't focus on adding stuff in. I'd focus on removing things. And a unique one, I noticed when I shave and irritate my skin, my face actually becomes more puffy for a few days. So I don't do a super clean shave anymore. And you have to realize inflammation and water retention are correlated. If your face is inflamed, it's also going to carry more water as well. Another massive contributor to inflammation is having a bad microbiome. If you're constantly having gut issues, your guts are probably inflamed. And that inflammation is often going to show itself in other parts of the body as well, including your face. Plus, having allergies or even something as mild as a small nose infection will completely destroy your face. When you think of inflammation, you're probably thinking of some dude who got stung by 8 bees, but it's often very mild and it looks a lot like water retention. The only thing I really noticed in my experience that can differentiate inflammation and water retention in my face is with water retention, it's like a more round appearance around my cheeks. Inflammation, on the other hand, it makes your face puffy in a different way, especially around the nasolabial fold area. It can give you a Itachi look, but not in a good way. And yeah, fix your issues, because if you can't tell by now, most of these appearance things are health related. Our bodies pretty much have a built-in looks analyzer, and we can very easily tell if someone is healthy or not, even if our consciousness doesn't notice it. It's all subconscious instinct, since we need to know if someone's going to be a good partner or a bad one, especially with inflammation or water retention, because even a few extra millimeters around your cheek can make you go from lean to bloated. Now on to fixes. If you're constantly sniffling and spitting mucus, you might have a nose infection or allergies. Fix it. For infections that are fungal or whatever, there's all sorts of nose sprays, but I am not a certified medical professional. It might not sound like it, but it's a big deal. For me personally, I have an infection right now and it's really affecting my face. If you have an awful microbiome, eat clean. I personally buy organic and eat a lot of fruit and meat. Really just a lot of meat oftentimes. That's what works for me. And a little short-term tip for inflammation is rubbing ice on your face and just cold exposure in general. Just be careful of rubbing ice on the eye area because the veins there are really delicate. Moving on again, another component of looking lean is having the skin tight on your face. So you want to have volume in your face, as in facial muscles, and preferably bone too, but I'm not gonna get into that too much. I used to have jazzercise trainers, and no offense, but I used them like 3 times, and the thing is, they go on your front teeth, and that just felt horrible. It felt like I was bending my front teeth every day, and I was gonna break them eventually. So I got these ones for the molars instead, and the issue with them is they kind of work your front masseter muscle, which can give you a rounded appearance. I think ideally you want to work the rear masseter muscle. So what's the fix here? Well, you can just opt out for gum, like mastic gum for example, but what I do nowadays is I just chew my food properly, no jaw train or nothing. I chew using my back molars, and I'm pretty sure this activates the rear masseter muscle, which is what we want. Also, don't move your food around using your cheeks, use your tongue. When you eat, sit straight, food comes to you, you don't come to the food. If you're eating soup, lift the bowl towards your head instead of bending your head down. Also, chew your food thoroughly, don't gulp it down, this is important. Swallow properly. Lastly, have correct tongue posture and breathe through your nose. The last topic I want to cover before I recap is skincare. When your skin looks nicer, your face looks more lean and less bloated, but I'm not gonna go too deeply into that here. If a great diet alone isn't good enough, have a cleanser, wash your face, maybe even moisturize. So just keep it in mind. Nonetheless, finally, recap time. With water retention, you don't want to consume too much salt, especially combined with carbs, but even carbs alone can still bloat your face a little. Unhealthy ones at least. Personally, even stuff like bread kind of messes me up. You want to consume enough potassium. You don't want to consume too much water. You can also sauna or use a gua sha / jade roller. Feel free to screenshot these as I go. Now, for inflammation, avoid inflammatory oils and just junk food as a whole. Fix any health issues you might have. If you're constantly sniffling and have green mucus, probably don't ignore it. Have a good diet and fix your gut microbiome. A little bonus tip, I also just found I'm better off without pasteurized dairy. You can try it yourself. And short-term wise, cold exposure helps lower inflammation. Moving on for the facial stuff, chew using your back molars and chew thoroughly. Food comes to you, you don't come to the food. I don't know if I mentioned this, but you also want to swallow gently and do it properly. I don't know how to explain it, but Mike Mew has a video on it. Next, keep good tongue posture and consider skincare. Plus, a bonus tip, instead of having a frown as your neutral face, have your smile always slightly upturned. It makes you look better. That's all, and if you want to support me, you can buy this $20 ebook I made. Bye bye.